Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Devin Thomas back with another episode of Unscripted. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever you celebrate, I don't care. It's been a beautiful fucking Yuletide season. Yeah, and that's kind of what it's been. It hasn't even really been a week, to be honest. I think it's been a little under 2 weeks since I did my last pod, which is weird because I'm so used to doing it every week at this point, even when I take like an extra few days not to do it. It's strange. It's strange. I like it. I like being able to come here every week and talk and be consistent. And I don't know, it's very grounding for me at least. And I'm sure if you listen, it's nice to, see me pop up in the feed like, oh, he's back. He's fucking doing it once a week. So yeah, it's more just, personal commentary. But yeah, this past 12 days, I guess that it's been nice. It's been nice to slow down. The last time we talked, I had just gotten back from Europe and like literally probably, what do I say? Maybe 3 or 4 days after I got back from Europe, I started to get a little sick. We actually shot a pod the day I was starting to really feel it. And I even told my buddy Anthony after we shot it, it was actually like the other day. He's like, oh, it's ready to be released. I'm like, fuck yeah. So keep an eye out for that. But I told him after, I was like, dude, like I was so sick during this podcast. And it was weird. It wasn't like I got big sick. It's like I got like a 3-day fucking cold or bug, whatever you want to call it, where like the back of my throat, I could feel that like kind of sickness feeling. I'm like, fuck, like I really hope I don't get like this, massive sore throat right before the holidays. And thankfully I didn't, but oh man, my energy was low. It was so low during that pod, but he said he couldn't notice and hopefully nobody else does. But anyways, besides the point, got over that quickly, kind of recovered, kind of took a vacation from a vacation when I got home. Being in Europe was like a blur in retrospect now, like thinking back, hindsight. And yeah, so much happened so quick. And now that I'm back, it's been good. I think I needed some time to like process. I had just seen so much so quick. So I think like mentally I needed a little time to process everything that had happened. And then also to like kind of like reflect and be like, wow, I just did a lot of shit really fast. And maybe it doesn't sound as like fast as I'm thinking, but like in that like, 12 or 14 day period, a lot of shit happened. So anyways, got back, shot another pod with the boys, did it digitally for the first time. We used this thing called Riverside FM. It was actually some pretty sweet technology. I had never used it. I never really even heard of it, but it was the only way we could do it because we were all in different places. Mark was up in Brentwood, Anthony is in Ireland, and he was the one like setting it up. So yeah, but I was really impressed. It was actually a lot easier than I thought it would be. And it actually made me think like I could open up the door to like not just doing like in-person interviews, because I always feel like it's better to do it in person if you can, but the digital, it was like the technology's there. It didn't feel like, oh, this is some weird distance between the, people talking. Once it worked really well. So anyways, that's something to think about. Did that pod that's dropping tomorrow. And then I kind of just started leaning into Christmas. I think I got back on the 12th. So yeah, like I think we talked sometime between then. And since then, yeah, it's been good. We went to, I really haven't done anything, to be quite frank. I think that's why I'm kind of like reaching for like, what have I been doing? Reflecting, chilling, watching a lot of movies, hanging out, doing the Christmas grind. Like I kind of say it every year, and I think I've said it even on Unscripted. When it gets to this time of the year, I'm not checked out, but I'm kind of like, I'm taking it off. Like this is the month I live for, to get to at least. Like where I'm like, I'm going to just enjoy myself. Because usually I'm pretty like on the grind, tough on myself. Like you just got to fucking, hit the ground running. Don't fucking stop all year long. And once it gets to December, like, yeah, I guess I'm checked out. Not mentally, but like from like work and shit, I'm taking a break. Which is funny because like, with going to Europe and then coming back, like I lost half the month. So like, I can't believe it's like, what does it say? The 28th? It's a few days until fucking 2026, which is exciting, but also crazy. It's crazy to think that the year's just gone by. But to say the least, my Europe trip digged into my December month of indulgence where I just fucking chill and do whatever. But like, no, it was totally part of that, it was totally worth going. And anyways, I won't get back into the fucking Europe trip, but to say the least, it's expedited the month, it feels like. Although that trip felt very long and it feels like a long time ago already, which is crazy to think like even the second half of the month, I guess, it's been floating by. But anyways, yeah, I've been hanging out, went to a family Christmas party at my cousin's house. It's out in like South Santa Cruz County, North Monterey County. It's like right in the cusp, kind of that zone. And it was great. I hadn't been to his new house. Man, it was so cool. Totally fit him, fit the fam. Great location. And incredible view. Incredible view from the house. We were out there using one of those green egg like smokers. He had like the little one, then he had like the fucking Mac Daddy. And he was cooking sausage and all sorts of food in there. And honestly, it was incredible. Just to like look out at this view, sipping a fucking brew, and smoking some sausage. It was amazing. Like, what can I say? And you could see like the ocean from there, like Monterey Bay. And I was like, wow, this is a fucking incredible spot. So anyways, hung out there, saw a lot of the family, too many to name, but love you guys. Merry Christmas. And yeah, we chilled, drank, ate, went home, relaxed. And then, I think a night later, maybe it was the 22nd, we went to the party, or the 23rd, might've been the 23rd. So it might've been like back to back, just fucking chilling with the family. Christmas Eve was great. Played, it's so funny. Ate, did the whole show, right? Sees candy, sit by the fire. Amazing. Watched some movies, watched the Home Alone movies actually on Christmas Eve, which I've seen them already this season, but watching them just again in the Christmas setting, like, they're just so fucking good. I also say this to make a film commentary before I get into the next thing I'm going to talk about, which is they're both related. Chris Columbus, like, he was a great director already, but he cut his teeth on those fucking Home Alone 1 and 2s. That prepared him so much for Harry Potter. I don't know when they started talking about him coming into Potter, what year, when they started planning pre-production, but like 1 and 2 for Home Alone are exactly like Chamber of Secrets and Sorcerer's Stone 1 and 2. I guess I said this backwards, but Sorcerer's Stone and Chamber of Secrets 1 and 2. Like, if he didn't make Home Alone, I don't know if those movies would have been as good. Not only in Home Alone did he get to work with children, particularly one child, right? There's a few other young actors, but they're not in the film as much. He got to work with like a kid and really learn how to direct a child. And then 2, he got to work with John Williams. And like the score of Home Alone, like I'm listening to it and Stevie and I are looking over at each other, even Christine, we're all like, doesn't that sound just like Potter? Like there was like John Williams associates a certain type of score, not only with like his broader body of work, but with a director. Like with George Lucas, it's very like consistent. Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and I'd say even the same for Steven Spielberg. Similar, right? Although I think even with Jaws or something, John Williams went in a different direction with Spielberg, but he has a brand for Spielberg. He's like, okay, like I understand you as a person, as a director, right? As an auteur. I know what the mise en scène of your picture is bringing in. He is able to fucking like give them that. With Chris Columbus, he totally does. He has a sound that he is like, it's a lived in experience for him to be like, this is what I think Chris would like and what would fit the tone of his filmmaking and shit. And that is just so funny because like the Potter films, John Williams obviously set a tone for the entire series. And same with Chris Columbus, like visually, aesthetically, tonally, and I'd even say music wise, although I do think the tone of the Potter films changes quite a bit when Chris hits the road. It's just funny to see that the Home Alone movies influenced the Potter franchise so much. And obviously Chris Columbus is a big part of the Home Alone as much as John Hughes and Macaulay Culkin and everybody. But no, it was crazy to fucking see and hear and watch, obviously experience the movies. And then we watch Potter as well, because it's like 'tis the season, right? It's always Potter season at this house. But besides the point, it's just crazy to see how much his work was influenced by those movies. And I really like this year, I was just like, holy shit. I was like, Home Alone is like low key, like the groundwork for the Potter franchise to some extent. There's a lot of similarities. All right. The reason I even mention this is that we went over to my parents for not only the 24th, but the 25th, and we'll be back. I think we were there last night too. So we just fucking are always perpetually at my parents' house during this time of the year. We started playing Harry Potter Monopoly. Like, yeah, I don't even know who bought this. Like, how did this end up in our possession? But somebody in the family, I imagine it's Christine or Stevie, or Sue, rather, my mom, they got it. And, dude, we played this fucking game so seriously. The first night it was rough because everybody's like, how do you play Monopoly again? All right, we're figuring it out. The second night, the 25th, like Christmas Eve, Christmas Day Eve, dude, it was ruthless. Like, there was high emotions. This game was tearing us apart. I won. I just want to throw it out there. First night, I was like fucking bankrupt first one out. You know, I was taking loans and everybody's being nice. Night 2, there was no love. It was straight up like fucking Mr. Monopoly, you know, monocle and mustache, twisting it and all, just ready to fuck over the next person. And it was aggressive. And I was making dirty deals. So was everybody else. Everybody else can act innocent. Like, I didn't do anything bad. It's like, nah, fuck you. We were all playing cutthroat, go for the fucking jugular dirty on this game of Monopoly. And man, it was a hell of a time. You know what I even told these guys? Like, maybe we should just stream us playing Monopoly because it was so intense. Like, I don't know. This is another commentary because I'm talking about monopoly and I'm probably going to get into this at some point, but I think 2026 is the year we go back to analog living. Like social media is a little like faded out. No, it sounds bad as somebody trying to put themselves out there on like a podcast level or medium, right? But no, I think social media is a little cooked. I think people are over it. It's, you know, it's well done. The AI also is going to spoil it. If you've seen that movie Mountainhead, the Succession creator directed it. It's really good. It's exactly what people are talking about right now. Like, are we going to be able to determine and distinguish between AI and like real life and what's actually authentic? It's like maybe, but like, I don't know. It's getting weird, right? And there's going to need to be some regulation. I'm not one for government interference at all. So regulation is something I don't like, but like somebody's got to be held accountable for like what's real, what's fake. And we'll see who that is. It's a, you know, bridge will cross when we get there, I suppose. But I definitely think it's close because AI is getting real out of pocket. But besides the point, what I'm saying is like playing Monopoly, to weave it back in, is so analog. It's so in the moment. And like, you know, when I was playing Monopoly, I wasn't on my phone. I checked my phone like towards the end of the game when I felt like it was wrapping up. Like, all right, this might be the moment. But otherwise, like, you got to keep an eye on your shit when you're playing Monopoly. You got to be like, hey, motherfucker, you got to pay rent. You know what I mean? It's intense. And I don't know, there's strategy. And I think a lot of people, like, not just to criticize social media so much as just saying, like, in general, I think people are over it. I think, like, the internet era of being chronically online, like, the digital era, it's gotten boring. Experience, like, real life, like, is so much more exciting. And I think that's where society's headed. There's going to always be people that can't keep their fucking face off the screen. I get it. I watch a lot of TV. Even before social media, I was like, I would have considered myself, like, a screen person, like, a TV person. Like, I shamelessly would tell people, like, oh, what do you go out and do? I'm like, I watch a lot of fucking TV, man. I just love fucking movies, like particularly cinema. I'd watch shows, sure, like pedigree shit, like Breaking Bad. But back in the day, I'd burn through 4 or 5 movies a day. And I was just like hungry to learn at that point too. Like, I remember one of my friends in high school was like, how do you do it? And I'm just like, I just fucking like it. I like want to see every fucking movie or see as much or see the shit that people say is important to see. So like when I do go to talk about movies, not only am I like well viewed as like being well read in like a literature sense, but it's just like, I know the reference. I get it. I'm in tune with not just the current media, but the media, the history of cinema. I want to be able to talk from a place of in being informed, not arrogance. You know, I don't want to be out there, you know, talking on my ass and being like, oh, like, you know, I remember when you're young and you tell somebody that, like, especially like an older kid or an older person's like, you've seen that, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, yeah, of course. And you've never fucking seen it. I used to be a little bit more like, yeah, I think I've seen it. Didn't I? Now, like, if I haven't, I'm like, no, like, tell me what that is because I fucking need to see it so I can get where you're coming from or where other people are coming from. Maybe I'm ignorant to these other films or things that are out there. And that's some like little kid shit to be like, I've seen everything or I've listened to every song, like, you know, but it's good to continue watching, continue being hungry. So besides the point, I'd rather watch a movie now and not like get on my phone because I feel like that's been a problem, but and I'll get into this later on the movies we watched these last few days or weeks, whatever. Because certain movies, like people have been talking a lot. This is what I'll say. People have been saying like, oh, are movies still gripping? Are they still what they used to be? And it's like, yeah, like I think we're living in a current state where like, you know, maybe Netflix doesn't care if the movie's good for you. Maybe they just care about the $20 a month or the $25 a month and making sure they get paid. And like, if you're at least subscribed, that's all that matters, right? They're not making money off of you watching any of the shit. It's you paying the subscription. So their bar of fucking quality has fallen. They don't give a fuck about what you like. And I'm not trying to criticize Netflix as a whole. It's who's ever show running or whatever. Occasionally a good show comes out. Yeah, I know Stranger Things 5 has been getting bashed, but like it's good. I think it's as good as any season, as bad as any season. It's perfect for what it is. And like that's like a pedigree show of theirs. But like not everything's gonna be Stranger Things. And like recently I feel like most shit's just been sloppy. Nobody's really into movies right now that are like not particularly Netflix movies. Like, you know, occasionally they have a good show. They got a couple good pieces of IP. I guess they're buying Warner Brothers, so fucking they're gonna have a lot of great IP. But like, just be care. Put care into it if you're gonna do it. Be fucking like, I don't know, make good shit so people don't look at movies and think like movies suck. Movies don't suck. I just watched a bunch of great fucking movies that came out in the last 20 to 30 years, and okay, maybe even 40 years, but. A good movie's good and a bad movie's bad, and they could be good. Movies could be great again. I know it's not what everybody wants to hear, but movies could be great again if Hollywood gets their ass in shape. And it's not even Netflix. It's just like, here's my take. There's so many hungry, good filmmakers that want to be out there. I'm one of them. Fucking hire some new blood. I think a lot of the shit that's come out recently is a little tired out. I tried watching that new Paul Thomas Anderson movie. I'm like I love Paul Thomas Anderson, but like even like one battle after another, it just started off and I'm like, God, you know what? Like, I just don't think this is going to be a fucking good 3-hour investment of my time. I didn't even make it through it. I got into the first like 40 and I'm like, it's just not, I'm not getting gripped. And is it just movies or is it just, have we had some of these filmmakers have had their day? Is it time for new ideas and new blood? And there's plenty of good current modern filmmakers. Not all of them are, somebody who's really consistent with whatever project they're in. It's like Seth Rogen. Everything he does is pretty fucking great. But on the whole, Hollywood's either hiring people that have connections, people that aren't really artists, which I know it sounds hard to say, but like some people just aren't, they're just not I guess a true filmmaker. Some people are just like, hey, like I've worked the system, like a corporate filmmaker. Like it's finally my turn to go out and do this. That's fine. But it's like, it used to be like meritocracy based. If you are talented and you are good at this, we'll let you have the reins on one. And even for some people, they had to work their ass off just to get there on the indie fucking like grind, just to get into a position where they could get the offer to do it. We used to seek talent. We didn't used to make Hollywood just a business and like the commoditization or whatever you want to call it of Hollywood, where everything is fucking about $1. It's like, and it's always been like that. It's show business. It's not free business. I get that. But it's like, hire some talent, get some people in there that really are passionate about making something good. People that want to make movies that are great, not just good, that are fucking great. You know, it's funny. One of the movies we watched was Good Will Hunting. And it's one of my favorite movies. I tell a lot of people this too. If you're trying to write a screenplay, go and buy a copy of Good Will Hunting. The one with the foreword by Gus Van Sant, the director, is really good. But he kind of talks about how he got the script and like where he got to actually fucking, eventually meet Matt and Ben, the whole thing coming together. It's nice. It's a very nice forward. But I guess to my point is that even seeing like the Oscars in 97, because we watched the victory speeches, Matt and Ben win an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay. There was just such a different energy and like a level of like class and respect in Hollywood that was like, it's just disappeared. Like it's just, everything doesn't feel like it holds the same weight. When I was watching this 1997 or 98 Oscars acceptance speeches, we watched a bunch of them after we watched this one because we were surprised Matt didn't win Best Lead, right? I think he lost to Jack Nicholson, which is a tough beat. But like the movie Nicholson was in was as good as it gets. It's a great movie, but I don't know. Damon really fucking left it all out there, with Good Will Hunting. But besides the point, these award shows and shit, I remember like it was just a different like feeling watching it. There was a high value on these award shows. And like right now, I feel like even with the Oscars, which is funny because this year I started talking about the Oscars and like Sean Baker and his big win for indie cinema and on the whole for indie cinema. And it was just even that, like, do people still care that Sean Baker won these awards? Maybe they don't care as much as how much Ben and Matt won this fucking Oscar back in 98. It's just strange. And I'm not trying to diss on Sean Baker at all. I'm a fan, love the guy. Would love to have Sean on fucking Unscripted. But my point more so is that does it hold the weight? I would love to ask Sean Baker this. Like, do you feel like people care as much about these Oscars as maybe people cared about Matt and Ben in 1998? That's my point. And it's not a critique on Hollywood or the business or the fucking Academy. It's just thoughts, and like, that's not even something that's maybe inherently their fault. It could just be, I don't know, the state of Hollywood. The state of Hollywood right now is really strange. I think a lot of people have been thinking this too. What's going on down there? We got a lot of money going around, a lot of very powerful people buying up the companies. And I'm not into the conspiracy that there's anything nefarious going on. I just think that, these companies want, market share. And I think Hollywood will self-correct. It's like anything, I've been telling a lot of people this, the 80s, Hollywood was in rough shape. Like the movies coming out were good, not great. There were hits. Of course, there's always going to be hits. People act like, oh, it was the worst decade. Well, worst decade might mean like you didn't have fucking like a hit every fucking, 6 months. Like the 70s was it's just fucking an era riddled with good movies. The 90s, it's insane. I'd even say like the 90s, I say this all the time, 90s to like 2015. What a fucking time in cinema. And even the 2010s, there's movies that people would consider classics now. There's always good and bad times in Hollywood. I think Hollywood right now, the big things it's facing is change of power, transition of fucking ownership, right? We all know that. Ellison bought fucking Paramount. You got Sarandros and the Netflix mafia fucking buying out Warner's. It's like, 85 bill or 100 billion. It's just fucking, it's a sick amount of money. But that's the thing. We got a big transition of power in Hollywood going on right now. Now, the next thing, and it's the obvious thing, the thing that everyone knows, is artificial intelligence. Where's AI taking Hollywood? Where's AI? Where are we going? You know, we're up, we're out at sea without a sail, apparently. You know, Disney and Sora signed a deal to fucking, start working together, basically. I think the worst thing about that deal is that, one, Disney should have been like, they're steering the ship in Hollywood of what's going to be acceptable and what's going to be unacceptable. And if you watch Seth Rogen's show, The Studio, the last season had a thing where they use AI to animate some scenes or do CG, right? The director's like, it's Nick Stoller. He's making the Kool-Aid movies. Like, I don't think I can make Kool-Aid without AI, right? They go to Comic-Con and they release the trailer, and then somebody asks, like, Seth Rogen's character in the show wants to be the one who goes out there and tells everybody, like, hey, like, I'm the producer. And the first question someone asks at Comic-Con is like, is it true you're using AI to replace like CGI or animators? And they're just like, fuck. And he gets shit on. Well, when the big dog, the biggest of dogs in Hollywood, Disney, says, hey, we're going to use Sora to animate, will people reject it? Will they accept it? Will people just not fucking care? Like, at this point, who knows? Because I think AI is becoming like a normal. It's not crazy for this technology to be out there or be used. Okay, well, that's fine. I've, explored AI myself. What about the people that have spent like, $250,000 on an animation degree, or tried to, go to these institutes like Cal Arts? Isn't Disney super tight with Cal Arts? It's like, I think what your problem isn't going to be a problem with using AI, but people feeling that they've been cheated out of a future they've invested in. And you could say the same for me. I went to film school. I invested in myself. I've invested in technology. Is AI going to replace the actual humans? I don't think it's there yet. One of my buddies, he does a lot of Sora clips, and like, they're really good, but there's still that uncanny valley where you watch it and without even needing it explained to you, that this is not normal, that this AI is like, it's just not real. People can still discern real and artificial. And I think real is here to stay. Like, people, here's the deal. If 2026 is going back to analog, I mean, maybe we'll be on razor flip phones in 2026. I'd love to be on one and have my iPhone just be more of a tool than perhaps my primary way of communicating with people. Because I'm kind of at a point where I'm like, call me, send me a text. We don't need to fucking, I love texting and like the iPhone, that I consider a tool for that. But like, it would be nice to not be worrying about my phone constantly and not to be chronically online at least every 30 fucking minutes at the least. I mean, come on, be real with yourself. Everybody's getting on these phones all the fucking time. But, even going back to like, not even going back, but like, I just don't think filmmaking is going to get replaced by AI in the way that people think it is. Animation, CGI, you guys are in trouble. I'm not even trying to be mean, but it's like, yeah, like that shit, like it's definitely getting to a place where like it's generative. People can just make this shit up, or try. I mean, prompting's tough still with some AI, but there's so many out there. And it's going to be tough. As far as like a real movie, like if a movie is completely done with CGI, or not CGI, but AI, I don't know. I've seen a lot of good like AI like videos and clips out there, but it's just, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. And I think it's going to be a while. Maybe the jump will happen really quick, but I just don't think people want to watch a movie that's completely AI. There's something about watching a human being. Like, are you really going to be a fan of an AI actor? You can never see them in real life. It's not real. People want real. At the end of the day, like, you can never be impressed by seeing a hologram of an AI person walking down a red carpet. Like, no one gives a fuck about that. But if you see Leo DiCaprio walking down a red carpet, or you just meet him at a cafe once in a fucking, blue moon, and there's like a power. There's a reason when like the Kardashians come to Carmel by the Sea, there's a fucking headline. Because people are people. They're irreplaceable. They're one of a kind. They can only be in one place at one time. And yeah, that's just my 2 cents. I've used this example before. Like, if you were a kid and you grew up without the internet and then you got the internet, like, you can remember a time before the internet and be like, oh, it was nice. But if you're a kid who's just grown up with like an iPhone, the internet, AI, like, maybe you just accept AI as like a complete reality, a complete normal. And you're like, yeah, fuck it. I can get behind AI like an AI celebrity. Maybe you don't care about what used to be, or maybe you don't care about people in the same way, which would be really scary. But I guess my point more so is like, maybe people will just adapt and just not give a fuck. But I'm in the generation, maybe I'm gonna be one of those old guys saying like, I remember when actors used to be fucking human. But yeah, I don't know. I don't see AI replacing all of us. But those are the two problems that Hollywood has: transition of power and artificial intelligence. Obviously, I could go on about AI, but I won't for the sake of fucking everybody here. Yeah. And of course, times are changing. I think there's been a huge culture war going on in America, and the cultural shift is happening, and it's happened. People seem to be leaning one way more so than the other, and there's always going to be divisiveness and all that shit. I'm not here to talk politics, but more so just say like culturally, it seems like I wouldn't call it the conservative vibe is on the rise, but I think that like, yeah, people are leaning more towards an Americana lifestyle right now, between country music topping the charts. I wouldn't say hip hop's dead, but like, it's just a decades thing. Like, I think like, hip hop music, even like it's being like not number one right now. It used to run the charts. I don't even know what's running the charts now. I guess like pop, country, there's always going to be a outlier that gets in there, but somber's been really big. Like right now, like a shoegaze lo-fi vibe. Who knows what's going to be topping the charts? But like culturally, like popular music is changing. I think that's always a big dictator of where culture's at. Movies are changing. Like Landman's number one on TV. You can see there's like an appeal right now to a certain audience or whatever you want to call it, and that's interesting to me. I think it's really interesting to see like where things are headed, things are leaning, etc. And yeah, Hollywood's got to rethink what type of movies they're making, what type of content they're making, castings, etc. Everything's like, it's just a fucking, everything changes. It's a decades thing. And I kind of say this too. I tell people a lot of the time, like when you watch like the change of the decades, like 1960s bled into 1970s. When does a change in a decade where like the decade starts having defining looks, defining like, like it's like the haircut thing when they show throughout like time, like, oh, look, here's like the 1910, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever. You see the haircuts change. What's going to be like that part of the decade where things change? I honestly think like 2025, like I think it was the year that really like sets the tone for the rest of the decade, for better or worse. But yeah, I think it's always like halfway through the decade is when the decade really like takes form because people are changing, etc. When I think of 2019, it doesn't seem that long ago because of COVID and all that. But like 2019, like we're going into like what, fucking 6 or 7 years ago? It's hard to fucking believe, and like I try to think like what was life like back in 2019? It was like completely different. We're living in the future now and it's so different. And I think this future is also going to dictate the future of culture and movies and what we see and how people want to be portrayed in film, etc. Like, what movies do get made also, like from an IP perspective is, 2010s, we rebooted Star Wars. Will we see Star Wars again because Disney wants to cash out? Or is it going to be like put off like a legacy film like it has been traditionally for another 5 or 10 years? Interesting to think about. And yeah, it's, we'll see where things go with Hollywood. I think another thing people are afraid of with Netflix is that Hollywood is going to, not Hollywood, but like because Netflix is buying Warner's, is Netflix going to just completely eliminate a theatrical? Nobody wants that. They're very, very not into theatrical like releases, which I think is silly. What's funny is like they're doing this new Stranger Things 5 finale in theaters. And I was like, fuck, it kind of makes sense. Like if it's a 2-hour finale, like might be fun to go and watch it with other Stranger Things fans. On the other hand, like, don't you think Netflix could like double up if they just were like, hey, like you can just go see season 5 in theaters. We'll release an episode every week. We'll run the previous episode throughout the day. Like I was thinking like there's like such an ability to monetize this and make it more of a cultural event than, people are going to those Taylor Swift fucking movies, and respect to Taylor, and they're seeing them and like fucking singing and dancing in the theater. I heard was out of control for like a in-person experience, right? I think it's more for the ladies personally, but in respect to whoever goes to them, but like, I'm not going to the Taylor Swift show at the movies, so I'm not seeing it. But like, don't you think if you wanted to go see, let's say Stranger Things or Wednesday, you could just binge it at home, but like, I think it'd be more fun to go and watch it with other fucking Wednesday and Stranger Things fans. Make it an event. When I heard that they're going to put the last one into theaters and actually have this like, I guess like screening event, that sounds a little bit cooler to me. I remember going to those midnight showings of like Potter or even fucking Twilight. I was caught dead there, believe it or not. And seeing those fucking movies, and people were excited. People were like, there was a vibe. You're like, yeah, everybody's here for one reason, to see this thing. Let's see how this thing fucking ends, right? Or what's the next part? How does it go? And that's the thing that's missing from cinema right now is the shared experience, the communal experience, community of film lovers going and seeing something. And I guarantee you, if you think about a movie you like say like Shrek or whatever, fucking a Potter movie in the past, right? You could probably remember when you saw it, or at least remember the theater you saw it at. It was an experience. It's like a memory, on top of another memory of the fucking movie. And yeah, I think that's something like in people, like I said, people are worried about Netflix and not doing theatrical at all. I hope not. I hope they keep movies in theaters because although I admittedly do not go as much as I once did, and that's usually because like, look, I saw a few good movies in a row and then I went and saw Haunted Mansion, like most recent iteration with like Owen Wilson and Lakeith and like, dude, it was just terrible. Like I wanted to like it. I love the Haunted Mansion, but like that was one of those movies where I'm like, fuck, I actually regret buying money or buying a ticket to see this and spending money. And yeah, sometimes they're like that. And that can be a big turnoff to go back to the theater. But let's see what happens. I think one, Netflix, if you're out there fucking listening to my idea, you could be running these episodes every week. My guy, you could be making an extra 15 or 20 an episode. That's a whole month of subbies for the price of one ticket. And you'll have kids going there buying fucking Stranger Things, popcorn buckets. I don't know. You figure it out. It could be anything. But I don't know. And also, hire me. Give me a shout. I'd love to make something with Netflix and actually, make a great movie. Not just a good one. Much respect to Netflix. You guys are awesome. But besides the point, that's something people are worried about. I really don't think the theater's going anywhere. I know Christopher Nolan said he'd never make a movie with Netflix. I get what he's saying in comparison to like, not the actual company so much as the culture, perhaps, and like the way they dictate movie releases and stuff. I think his next movie, The Odyssey, will be a massive hit in theaters. I heard Doug Ellen talking about this on his podcast. One of their buddies, Sean Avery's in the movie. So they were talking about, did you see the trailer and do you think it'll do well? And Doug made a good point. He said that Christopher Nolan has millions of like fans and followers that will show up for his movies. You just do the math, a couple million people show up times 15, 20 bucks. Like it's going to make money. He's going to have a hit. And he's he's like probably one of the best living filmmakers alive today. He rarely has had a moment where I'm like, God, this movie is really just not good. Even Tenet, I know it got ripped on. It came out at a weird time during COVID. Maybe if more people saw it in a communal viewing, it would have done better and people would have not understood it, but there would have been a cultural impact of people being like, oh, did you just see Tenet? Let's talk about it. And like, try to figure out the movie that's probably impossible to figure out. Even Christopher Nolan said like the movie's not meant to be really understood as much as it is to be experienced. And like, I don't even think it's a cop-out. I just think it's an interesting movie. But this guy's, he's top 5 living directors in the world on Earth. He's going to make a good movie. People are going to show up. I'm excited to see The Odyssey. I'm so excited to see it. I didn't even watch the trailer. Like, part of me is just like, I just don't want to see anything about this. I just want to go in there completely blind, completely surprised. Yeah, is he the only person that can draw, asses into the seats? I don't think so. I think there's plenty of people that could do it. Hopefully Quentin Tarantino makes another fucking movie. By the way, I never got to talk about it. I think I was overseas, but man, Tarantino ripping on Paul Dano and, I get it. He's just riffing. He's probably not trying to tear somebody apart, but like, dude, Paul Dano's great. His Riddler in the newest Batman film with Robert Pattinson, Robbie Pat the Bat, was really good. And his performance in There Will Be Blood, which is, I think, the one he's insulting, is fucking ridiculous. I actually remember watching There Will Be Blood, and I'm like, I like Paul Dano now. I'd seen him in like The Girl Next Door, like a lot of his early shit, Little Miss Sunshine, etc. I always thought he was kind of this like, okay, like, why are they using this guy? No, like, it was a talent yet to be seen. Also, his performance in Love and Mercy, really good. God, he's a good actor. He's very interesting to watch. Prisoners. He's in the studio with Seth Rogen as well. He's in the first episode, one of the first scenes. And look, obviously, like, he's in so much shit I can name it. He's a talent. And I think it's really stupid what Tarantino said, and hopefully he didn't mean it in such a fucking vitriolic, hateful way, but I don't know. I would never criticize another person just because I don't particularly like their brand of performing. Somebody in our household that we mutually kind of can't stand, but I always kind of stand up for him because I do like his performances, like Mark Ruffalo. Like, Stevie and Christine are just not huge Ruffalo fans. Like, they're like, oh, like, he's good, but like when they see him perform, they just never like buy into it, I think. And there's a few movies of Ruffalo's where I'm like, God, he's really fucking good. Like Begin Again, John Carney's movie. He's incredibly good in that. Very relatable. Spotlight. Incredible performance. I think I like him more when he takes on the serious dramatic roles. He's fine as the Hulk as well. As Bruce Banner's good. But yeah, there's always going to be like an actor that maybe like you're just not like, oh, this guy, like you can't really get behind it. But I don't know. I don't like when people criticize somebody, especially in their own field of work. It's like, hey, I get it. You're going to make Tarantino's going to make one more movie, but it's like, hey, bro, like you don't need to make one more fucking mean comment about somebody and put that out into the world. Anyways, I digress. But he's another person who would definitely, like, you know, if he puts out a movie and road shows it, he'll sell it out. People want more Quentin Tarantino. He's so fucking famous. It's probably ridiculous. You know, he and Nolan alone could probably give Hollywood a great year if they put out some really, really good shit. And I think The Odyssey will be good. And I think that filmmaking's, you know, it's just like everybody's freaking out in Hollywood. I think like production and crews, like the problem too with people saying like Hollywood's work is dried up. Well, it's like, I hate to be that guy, but you know, I shot a movie completely by myself. Obviously, Christine and Stevie helped me with like moving gear and all that shit. But like I was operating one man, did audio, camera, everything, one man crew, because I couldn't afford the ridiculous cost of production. This isn't a slight at production people or at crew, but it's like, it's expensive. I didn't have the money to do it, quote unquote, the right way or whatever you want to fucking call it. It was pure determination, you know, in will. And we willed this movie into existence, going out there and filming it at fucking night, you know, just 3 people, really, you know, with the exception of some other actors coming onto set at other points in time and getting some locations borrowed and all that. But I guess my point more so is that like, well, production's gotten so much more simple. I'm not saying it's easy, but like for a couple tens of thousands of dollars, you could get all the gear in the world you need to make a fucking like really good movie. I say this all the time. You're not going to make Top Gun at home, or you're not going to make Jurassic fucking World or Jurassic Park, whatever you want to call it, at home. That's going to be a little bit of a toughie. But if you want to make a great indie drama, you really just need to, you know, study cinema, love movies, write, direct. And I understand, like, I really just don't appreciate this enough, but like not everybody writes and directs. I just always assume that's what people do. So that's what I've always done. It's just like the vision and the path I've been on as writer, director, cinematographer, I guess at this point too, you know, I'm, don't want to jerk myself off here. What I'm saying is, you know, the path isn't really like, it's whatever you want it to be. But like a lot of people try to take that like, oh, we're going to do the super produced fucking path. And it's like, no, like production's gotten simple. Like if you really like want to sit down and take the time to write, put together the fucking project and actually like go out and direct something and understand you got to study directing and shit. Doesn't just like, oh, just go out and buy a bunch of expensive gear and just lights, camera, action. You got to study cinema. You got to learn it, and you got to learn about all the fucking the basics to the complexities, right? But my point more so is that if once you go through the fucking, you know, educational phase and you feel like, believe me, I was bursting at the seams to shoot a fucking movie. I was like, I'm ready to fucking do it. But when I turned 30, I'm like, this is it. Like, I got to fucking do it, because if, yeah, I'm always going to wonder, like, could I do it? Could I have done it? No, fuck that. Action over everything. Made the movie. And yeah, my production costs were significantly lower. Yes, I spent a lot of money on the road to production, but like actually filming, very little. You know, it really is commitment. Time is the biggest, you know, cost is like time and energy. It's not easy to make a movie. It's exhausting. It's a lot of work. A lot goes into just fucking just making it and then editing it and everything. But in the actors, it's demanding, you know, my actors gave me everything they got, and it's not easy. And like, you know, we shot a long production, 8 months. And my point more so is that like, given the duration and all that, yeah, it was definitely tough to shoot, but cost wise, we still kept it down. Stevie always jokes we shot it for the cost of a couple bar tabs. To be quite frank, it's probably true. A couple beers, he'd go and get ready. There's 1 or 2 nights I had a drink or two while we shot, but yeah, I mean, it really is just commitment, dedication. Everybody wanted the same thing, the common goal, the shared goal of making a film. And to that point, that's why crew being so expensive, that's probably why the work is drying up in terms of like big production crews or whatever, like union crews going out there and shooting. That's not a big Hollywood or Netflix production. It's because indie, like, you could strip it down. You know, you could probably have 5 people and make a great fucking movie with like a 5-person crew, right? For me, obviously on the next movie, I'm open to having more crew. I was also like in a position where I'd seen other people make short films or make movies and like have the crew turn on them. And I was like, holy shit, like I can't go and pay people to have them fucking flip the switch on me or turn the tables and try and be like, hey, like you're in the hot seat. Like, no. And I'm not going to let ego get into it and be like, I'm paying for the, like, of course, like if I'm paying for it, you're doing what I'm telling you in the sense of like, I hired you to do a job. But like, I'm not going to go and motherfuck somebody, be like, I'm fucking paying you. You're going to do it. No, like, I don't want the drama. I don't want somebody questioning me the whole time, etc. Like for me, I was just like, I think I know exactly what I want, and I think I can get it if I can just go out there and do it. And that's exactly what I did. And like Peninsula Nights, on that note, the movie was so many more things than just making the movie. It was like proving to myself I could do it, trusting myself. There's so much growth that came from the film. But like, and I said this on Anthony's pod as well, like once you climb the mountain once, you're like, well, I could fucking definitely climb the mountain again. So just show me the mountain. And like, that is kind of the theme I have going into 2026. Show me the mountain. I'm ready to climb it again. This year was weird. This is more recapping and kind of moving forward. But like, Stevie had health issues. We were joking. He sent me a video yesterday. It was like, it was for Feel It All Around. It was a movie we were like this close to shooting. I was putting out castings. I was fucking ready to make it. He was ready to make it. And it was right around his birthday. He got ill. I remember the Palisades fire, which is still fucking terrible, pushed us back. And who cares about our movie in comparison to that? And we were like, okay, well, we're not going to go down to LA and shoot this thing right now. It's the wrong time. And yeah, it was funny. It was a trailer for Feel It All Around with like our production company and stuff. And I was like, wow, like it said 10 months ago. I'm like, I can't believe 10 months ago we were like about to shoot this movie. And then, he kind of fell ill, has ailments. He's doing a lot better. Even now he's still fighting it. But like saw his real doctor, Dr. Meckel, great guy. And he got him on the right medication. He's like, look, you've been misdiagnosed all fucking year long. Take these. Let's get you turned around. Right. But besides the point, like, he's almost better. And he's like, as soon as I get better, let's just like back to filmmaking and shit. I'm like, yeah, dude, let's just do it. Let's just, not finish what we started, but continue what we started. And I've had other people, in my orbit right now that are just great. And I think we're all going to work together and make magic happen in 2026, to say the least. But yeah, that's my thing going into 2026. It's just like back to it, back to work. Really want to make another feature. Going to continue podcasting, doubling down on podcasting and just moving forward, there's no time to waste. And I don't mean that in like, got to slave away. I mean it in like the sense of like, like I could do anything with my time. And this is what I choose to do, not just podcasts, but obviously filmmaking, writing, directing. And that's, I got to just get back to work. Everyone's back, healthy, feeling good, hitting the gym. Everybody's doing the fucking grind. And, yeah, I guess back to work. That's 2026. Just like make the next one and move on and like not overthink things. I think it's something else too, is like when you're making your first movie, you read so much about somebody else's first movie and like, it sounds like it is this fucking very like, it's a big conquest. But once you do it, like I said this before too, once you accomplish a goal that big, like for me, making a movie was like the dream. Like, yeah, I was like, wow, I can't believe like my dream came true. And it changes your mind because you're like, well, what do you want to do next? And it's like, God, I think the dream can continue if I just work hard enough. Because I saw the untapped potential that had been finally like, the surface has been cracked and it's starting to leak. And I'm like, wow, like I cannot fucking believe that this is something that I was capable of doing. And all I wanted to do was do it again and just see how far I can fucking push it. Because life, it's not a game, but to some extent it is. And it's like, you can do whatever you want to do in life. And I'm like, I want to see how far I can push this fucking, ball down the field. That's all I want to do. And I love playing ball. So let's do it. That's 2026 for you. Yeah. And I have a quote written down here. This is such a generic quote, and I think people hear it all the time. But if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Let's go together. That's all I can say is filmmaking. It feels like a selfish endeavor when you're doing it, but really like it takes a village. Even if I shot it with like one man crew, it takes the actors. It takes so much more than just one person. It's kind of an ego-less thing if you think about it, because like it's really not like glamorous. Sure, you get to reap the benefit of making a film, but like the last thing I'm thinking about is like, oh, like I hope this makes a lot of money or yada yada yada. And like that's something we even talked about was like, what do we make next? Like part of me is like, do we try and make like that breakout film, like that Slugger, like that big IP type film? And like part of me is thinking, yeah, not because I fucking want to be rich and famous, more so that I'm like, hey, like this is something that people really want to see or that has mass appeal. It unlocks the doors to make the even more low budget stuff easier, because people might be like, well, what do you want to do next? I'd be like, well, I want to make this, or I want to make that, or maybe an opportunity arises where I do get to make something that's high budget. We'll see. But yeah, make the vehicle film, make the, whatever type of movie, the indie, etc. And there's even been a movie that we've been trying to like crack the code on how to make. And like, we've been using some tools lately where I'm like, I think we might be able to make this now. So yeah, it's 2026 is going to be interesting, to say the least. So anyways, this past Christmas time, I guess, the fucking last 2 weeks. Been watching a lot of good flicks. I don't know if you guys saw, but on the American Netflix, Titanic just popped on. And of course, Titanic's one of those movies that, like, when you see it, it's like a fucking, play. For me, at least. And I've talked to other people about this. Like, my homies up in Canada, they love Titanic. We were talking movies and like Titanic. I'm like, really? Like, I was impressed. I was like, Titanic, it's one of those movies. It's the gift that keeps on giving. It gets better every time. So anyways, we watched Titanic, and none of us were on our phones. We were gripped the whole fucking 3 hours. I think it's 3 hours and 10 minutes, a long ride. It's just one of those movies where it's like, it's perfect. Titanic, actually, in my opinion, is a perfect film. There's nothing wrong with it. Every beat's good. Just incredible. The story of Jack and Rose is great. The, biopic elements incorporating Titanic's like real history. I know it's historical fiction to some extent, but like it's based on a real event. So like the fiction is Jack and fucking Rose as much as like the actual event is just authentic. What a script too. James Cameron, written and directed. This is a guy who made Terminator. We'll get into that. That was another series we watched, but the guy who made Terminator, the guy who made Aliens, True Lies, Titanic, like what a fucking script. Incredible. The dialogue was perfect. The romance was insane. The stakes were so high. Like when you watch Titanic, it's like, it's truly like more of an experience than just, oh, I watched a movie. It is fucking like you're on the boat. You're engrossed in the moment. It is true. It's like a mega blockbuster. I don't even know how to explain it. The feeling you get when you watch it. And I know other people feel this too, because this movie is like pretty much universally loved. The music too, which was funny because it was like a lot of like, flutes and bagpipes and stuff. And it was very like reminding me of being in Ireland. And yeah, it was insane. But also, the ship is built by one of the lines of the movie, like 15,000 strong Irish hands. It was one of the Irishmen on the ship says it. But it's just funny, the movie just has such an ambiance and an aura, and it draws you in. Excellent directing. Every character was so important. There's so much weight behind like every like moment and beat. It's just what's funny, and this is something else because the other movie I'm going to talk about next is Good Will Hunting, because we watched it as well. But Titanic and Good Will Hunting were up against each other for best original screenplay. Good Will Hunting is that fucking good that it took home that Oscar instead of James Cameron. James won, I think, like 11 fucking Oscars. I think I might have it written. I don't have it written down, but I think he won 11 Oscars in one night. It says it all. And it's not all about awards, but I'm just saying, like, Titanic, like, if any movie was well deserving of these awards, it was Titanic. Man, it is just so good. Kate Winslet also got robbed. I think Helen Hunt won for As Good as It Gets. And dude, I don't know. Rose was a fantastic character. And, the more you watch it, obviously, like, she is obviously the protagonist, but like, I really saw how like, secondary Leo's character is to her. He's not like completely out of the picture, but like, it's Rose's story. She's the narrator. It's a nice frame story. God, it was so good. It was so good. But to beat James Cameron, your script's got to be pretty good. And I honestly, Titanic, it's a tough beat, because I think that is by far James Cameron's best work. And look, we're going to talk Terminator in a bit. T2 is really good. Perfect blockbuster as far as I'm concerned. But I don't know, dude. Titanic was incredible. I actually just saw, this is something random too. I saw for the first time I've ever fucking seen this, but I guess Titanic had an alternate ending, and I guess Cameron shot it to show the producers. She's like, we want a Hollywood ending. They didn't like Rose throwing the diamond over. They're like, there needs to be something else. Like, where all the characters meet for one last time. We got to have closure on the, I can't remember his name, but the Bill Paxton character. They're like, we need closure on his character to see that he like saw the diamond or like whatever. It's like, dude, I've seen Titanic hundreds of times. Like, I've never fucking thought, oh, I hope Bill Paxton's character gets his like, he's like a fucking, he brings us into the story. His story is over when he and the daughter like fucking talk. Anyways, besides the point, I saw the cheesy ass ending they had shot for it, the alternate. And like, if you want to watch it, go watch it on YouTube. Just type in Titanic alternate ending. It will completely distort the movie for you. You're gonna be like, what the fuck were they thinking? Rose is about to throw the diamond over, and like the daughter and Bill Paxton see her, and they think she's gonna jump. It's like a callback to the beginning of the film where she was gonna jump off the back of the boat. And they're like, don't do it. And then she turns around, she's like holding the diamond up, and they're like, Bill Paxton's like, oh my God, you've had it the whole time. It's just so cheesy and so stupid. And he's like, can I touch it? Like, and she's like, okay. And gives him a speech about how the real treasure is the treasure of life and like in your heart. And I'm like, I get the message, right? materialism over, or actually experience over materialism, people over materialism, right? The diamond's worthless compared to life. The gift of life. I get it. I'm not that materialistic myself, so I already know this message. But it was so funny because like he like touches it and just made him look greedy. Like, oh my God, let me touch the jewels one time. And then like she throws it over after he like kind of touches it. And they're like, you crazy bitch. Like, how could you do this? And it's just, in my opinion, I thought it was just so stupid. But like I said, I guess Cameron was told to shoot an ending that was more Hollywood. And he's like, all right, part of me feels like it's intentionally shitty and like ridiculous because he's like, I'm going to give them something that they're absolutely going to say like, well, we'll just go with your ending because this was so fucking bad. But anyways, I digress. Titanic, 10 out of 10, timeless, maybe one of the best movies I've ever seen. And no, not even maybe. It's one of the best movies ever made. Period. The end. You can fight me in the comments. I don't give a fuck. But Titanic is just an incredible film. It's aged well, beautifully shot. It looks like it could have been shot yesterday. The quality's insane. It just holds up. And that movie will hold up in 100 years. People will be talking about fucking Titanic, James Cameron. They'll definitely be talking about Jack and Rose. Yeah, what a movie. Also, honorable mention. Oh, Billy Zane as Cal. Dude, his character in the film is so irrational with his anger, but like now that I'm watching as an adult, I'm like, okay, he goes a little far trying to kill people, but like this motherfucker was totally in the right to try and go after like Jack and Rose in the sense of like Jack was home wrecking. Rose, I get it. She was like suicidal on the boat. Yeah, for sure. It's not like she's obviously not enjoying it, but it's like, okay, well, Cal is, providing at the moment, right? Whatever. Like, I don't know if like killing herself is the answer. Like if she was willing to leave him for a guy on a boat, wouldn't she have been willing to like, have just like dipped out once they got to New York? Like she could have gone like another week. That's all I'm saying. Even as intolerable as the situation may have felt, like she could have probably waited it out. I'm just throwing it out there. His anger was not rational, but it was definitely motivated. I understood why he was angry. And I think it's just as the older you get. But anyways, Billy Zane as Cal, really good. So pretentious, so pompous, such a fucking asshole. God, it's so ridiculous, but I liked it. Anyways, Titanic, 10 out of 10. We all know it. We all love it. Classic. Okay, the next movie we watched was Good Will Hunting. I already mentioned this. Matt Damon, Ben Affleck wrote it, directed by Gus Van Sant. Matt and Ben are in it. Matt plays the lead, and obviously Robin Williams plays the second lead as fucking, can't remember his name in the movie, but he's a therapist, the psychologist. He actually won a statue for Best Supporting Male Actor, which completely well-deserved. R.I.P. Robin. I absolutely love Robin Williams. And his performance in this movie is just, this is a movie I keep coming back to. Like Good Will Hunting, I've seen it probably over the last 15 years, maybe even longer than that. And every time I watch it, it gets better. This time particularly, they had the whole room in tears. We were just like, it just really hit like a fucking hammer. And I was like, God damn, like, it's just that script is so good. The story is so good. It's so relatable. Obviously, there's elements of it that aren't relatable, like fucking, Matt Damon's like, he's got like an eidetic fucking photographic memory. But besides the point, it's such a good movie. It's a coming of age film. It's a movie too where like as you're young, you maybe relate to the Damon character more. As you get older, you start really like, understanding the Robin Williams character more. It hits all ages. Even the Stellan Skarsgård character, he plays the Fields Medal winner. Can't remember his name in the film, but even his character, like he makes some lines about like meeting somebody like Matt Damon that's so smart and intelligent that like, or the Will Hunting character rather, that like, sometimes he wishes he never met him because knowing that somebody that's good out there and doesn't like, they can't have access to him or they can't get him to, participate and like, hey, you're so good at this. Why don't you help us? That just, it keeps him up at night. And it's like, yeah, like sometimes untapped talent or, like unexplored genius, it can be like almost like crazy for someone else because they'd be like, holy fuck, like this guy's got it. And he's just not using this talent or this gift that he's been given, maybe sometimes those are God-given gifts. But besides the point, and I think in Good Will Hunting's case, he's definitely is a God-given talent. He doesn't even understand why he's like this, and I don't know, it's such a good story. And also like the romance of like Minnie Driver and Matt Damon's character, it's unresolved, like trauma and grief that's holding back the Matt Damon character. And like through Robin Williams, he's able to like, let go of his past and like move forward. It's just really it's so fucking good. And the fact that these two, 20-year-old guys wrote this movie and beat out, James Cameron, some 42-year-old a super fucking director. It's pretty cool. You know, it's a story that inspired me. Like even just hearing the story as a younger filmmaker, I was like, God, that'd be pretty cool. You know, and even as I'm older than them now, but like I still look up to that moment because I'm like, God, it's really cool to know that, you know, like if you really try and you really put your fucking, you know, time and energy into, you got to invest in yourself. And that's the thing is like, you know, there's been a lot of like, you know, just man hours put into the film dream. And I know I talk about it, like you can just go out and do it. And yes, of course, I think like if you really love filmmaking, you go out and do it. But like there are man hours that need to go in. You got to really set aside time to do it. You can be a hobbyist and just make shit for fun. That's fine. But if you're trying to like really make films and be a serious auteur, like you got to just fucking, you got to be committed. You know, it's, you can't have one foot in. You got to really just like, you know, it's a commitment. And those guys were obviously committed. You know, I remember hearing about how they wrote, and this might be in the foreword of the screenplay that I told you guys, if you wanted to learn how to write a screenplay, this is one of the ones I recommend to read. But like Matt and Ben were driving across America back and forth from Boston to Hollywood, writing this shit at motel rooms, you know, and just sitting there and shooting the shit. And it's kind of like, you know, something that was made out of pure love is what made them have maybe one of their biggest moments. And I mean, Ben's been up there twice, but it doesn't even matter. It's just, you know, commitment, love of the game, you know, and it doesn't matter what you're doing, even if it's not filmmaking. I don't care if you fucking paint nails or if you fucking hammer them into walls, you know, commitment, you know, be the best at whatever you fucking do and really love it. That's, I think the best advice I could give is just love what you're doing. But anyways, Good Will Hunting, like if you haven't seen it, go fucking buy a copy, go watch this movie. It's timeless. It's just, it's a true American film too, you know, especially coming back from Ireland and seeing how Irish Good Will Hunting was. I'm like, God damn, like I really didn't realize how subconsciously into this I was, you know, and I'm a bit Irish myself. So like, maybe that's why, but it's just interesting. Just a really good flick. The scenes with Matt Damon and Minnie Driver, especially the romance scenes, and particularly the scene that's towards the climax where like, she's like, tell me you don't love me. And if you've seen it, sorry for the spoilers, but Matt Damon's performance in that scene, it might be one of the best scenes in cinema. I've always thought that just watching the movie, but watching it this time, like we watched it intently, which is another thing I think I need to mention is that both Titanic and Good Will Hunting, we were gripped. I wasn't on my phone. I wasn't looking away. And now I think that's the kind of thing is like you watch one of these like streamer movies and you're like, fuck, like, should I even pay attention? Oh, what's going on? Like you kind of get lost. You get disinterested quick. These other movies are something about maybe it was the minimalism of production, the less cleanliness of production. Not saying they're not well shot, but like shooting on celluloid and 35, there's a certain way you make a movie when you shoot on that versus a digital camera that you can just fucking toss around and do a million takes, or I don't know. There's so much care put into these movies. But Matt Damon's performances with Minnie Driver, 10 out of 10. He is so fucking good in this movie. And it's a performance that will hold up for the test of time. I think it's right up there with Titanic. If you want to see what life looked like in 1997 Boston, watch Good Will Hunting. You want to see how people thought during that time and how people were, watch Good Will Hunting. It was just so beautifully done. Also, the scenes between Matt Damon and Robin Williams are insane. Just such powerful moments where actors are just talking and it drives you so hard emotionally. You feel it. The tension, the emotional chords they strike in this film, it's so good. I'd also like to note that Ben Affleck's character and Matt Damon's character, their dynamic was really good. You can tell they like obviously are, you know, they're brothers, but and literally Ben Affleck's brother Casey is also in the film. He's really good too. But the dynamic between Matt and Ben, especially towards the climax of the film, you know, Ben kind of tells Matt Damon's character like, hey, like you're too special to just be doing this construction shit. Like you need to get the fuck out of here. You're going to let everybody down. And it's just the way he does the scene. It's just and you know, it's funny that these guys wrote it, but it just feels like it's just happening. It's just so well done. And their dynamic is good. And it kind of sets the tone for their whole career. These guys are serious. They're players in the fucking game. And like, I've seen Affleck's earlier shit, even pre Good Will Hunting. And you know what? This movie really, like, there was a sense of like, he had done another movie earlier in this year as well, Chasing Amy with Kevin Smith, which he is the star versus, you know, Damon being the star of this. And damn, like his performance in Chasing Amy, like I even told Christine, like maybe we'll rewatch Chasing Amy because his performance in that was what more Matt was giving in Good Will Hunting in terms of like a lead man. But even his like subtle performance in Good Will Hunting as the Will Hunting's best friend, Chucky, was just so good. And it's such an honest performance. And these guys are just, there's a reason they stuck around in Hollywood. Emotional honesty, obviously high emotional intelligence. They just get it. And God, God, it was really fantastic. Good Will Hunting. This is probably like my favorite time watching this movie. I've seen it many times, but this time it jumped off the fucking screen. It was really good. And that's, I think, what a good movie does. Not even a good movie. This is a great fucking movie. All right. And it really hit the chakras, the heartstrings, whatever you want to call it. And fuck, it's just, you left us speechless. It ends and you're like, God damn, like that's a movie that like, it feels like it could just keep going on and you wouldn't, be mad about it. All right. So the next movie we watch, Good Will Hunting on that note, like well-deserved awards, well-deserved laud, praise, acclaim, whatever you want to call it, critically appreciated. It's just a good movie. There's nothing else to say. It's good. And, hats off to Gus Van Sant as well. Fantastic job behind the camera. Okay. Terminator. Christina never seen Terminator. I kept telling her, I'm like, you know what? We should really watch the Terminator movies because AI and robots and all this shit are so popular, right? And if you've seen Terminator, you know. Well, anyways, excuse me. Terminator 1 we watched, 1984, James Cameron's first film, written and directed. Probably, it's a movie. Here's the deal. When I saw Terminator, I saw T2 before I saw Terminator 1. I think it's just because Terminator 1 was so dated. I think a lot of people are like, oh, you don't need to see that one. Just watch Terminator 2. It's fucking incredible. And they're right. The effects and graphics are incredible in Terminator 2, especially for the time. But Terminator 1 is so charming. It's basically an indie movie. Even this time, Stevie hadn't seen it in a while, and we're like sitting there and he's like, wow. Like, I'm really seeing how fucking nitty and gritty and indie it is. And like, whenever we watch somebody's first film or an indie movie, you can really see like, they're still figuring it out. Cause like maybe they've fucked around with the camera, but they haven't really directed a movie, written or directed, etc. Right? James Cameron, he just fucking nailed it. He knocked it out of the park for his first time around, like actually directing a feature film. I think her name's Linda Hamilton as Sarah Connor, amazing. Michael Biehn as Kyle Reese, amazing. And of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Terminator, fucking incredible. He's fucking Arnold. That being said, just the entire movie was good. There are some dated graphics, imagery, whatever you want to call it, but at the time it was probably very impressive. It's a classic. The idea alone of the Terminator, somebody sending someone back to assassinate someone from the future. I think even for Christine seeing it, it was like these movies have been like, I know them well, but I can see where other movies have it's derivative, like Looper. They send back assassins or people to be assassinated in the past. Like Rian Johnson, he's great, but he didn't come up with that concept, and maybe James Cameron didn't either, but he popularized it in cinema. And this movie's so foundational for so much time travel shit in the future, which is very important to say because I think it could feel played out, but it's not. It's, very, very progressive, very intellectual filmmaking. James Cameron's a fucking genius. He's obviously a genius, but his writing is so good in comparison to just his directing and his body of work. And the idea of the Terminator alone, somebody's trying to come back in time to kill a woman who's going to have a son that will help defeat this artificial intelligence in the future that's taken over the world. It's mind blowing. The way the information is given out in the film, it's not given out all at once. He slow plays it, and that's so important to note because some movies these days, it feels like they're just spoon feeding you all the fucking information. Like this newest Stranger Things, my one problem with it, and I love Stranger Things, but it's like every scene is like a character's like, I got it. And they're fucking showing an example of how they're going to beat it. Or somebody says exactly what's going on. It's like, hey, look, you're not directing 101. Show, don't tell. I'm smart. I'll get it. Show me what's going on. And I'll fucking put it together myself. And I'll feel even smarter for having figured it out by engaging with the movie. The audience is smarter than you'd think. And I'm not even critiquing the new Stranger Things. It's that they've done it an awful lot. But I think they're also trying to squeeze in a lot of plot and a lot of fucking detail into one last season. I mean, fuck, they should have just done a double season. They could have just slow played it. From what I understand, the Duffer Brothers are over it. But besides the point, I'm not trying to bash on it. I've been enjoying watching it for what it's worth. But, these old Terminators, they gave the information out slowly. It wasn't so obvious. They didn't tell you everything you needed to know right away. It kept you guessing, kept you wondering, kept you engaged. Good screenwriting, right? T1's great. Loved it. Everything fucking bow ties well. So many good moments. Terminator 2, huge jump. Technology-wise, quality-wise. It was insane. Honestly, Terminator 2, for being a movie from 1991, the graphics were incredible. I think Cameron won Oscars just for those graphics and stuff alone, or CGI rather. And it's just such a blockbuster. I remember being a kid, I was telling Christine this, and like my parents wouldn't let me watch Terminator 2 because they said it was too, like, it'll give me nightmares. It's too realistic. Watching it now, I mean, obviously the first time I saw it as a kid, I was like, holy shit, like I can't believe, like I thought it was crazy cool. But obviously there's scary elements of it, the nuclear war, sharp objects going through people is, very graphic. And the idea of the Terminator itself, it's like, it's so realistic. The idea, so much plausibility, suspension of disbelief is high that like, I think if you're a fucking 12-year-old kid, you're probably thinking like, well, fuck, I hope the Terminator doesn't come for me, right? And I get where they were coming from. But it holds up, incredible movie. I think it is an improvement on 1. The plot twist also, because I told Christine and I were talking about it, it was like, she's like, well, I can't believe the Terminator is good. Like Arnold's character is good in T2. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? It is funny because before the internet, before you could see anything, if you wanted to know what happened in Terminator 2, you better go and see it, or you're going to have somebody spoil it for you, right? And, that's if somebody decides to do that. But we were talking about the plot twist of, Arnold's character actually being there to defend John Connor and not try and kill him and his mom. And it is such a good fucking twist. Because if you're watching it and you don't know anything about it and you see these two different Terminators show up, you're thinking, oh, this guy over here, the Robert Patrick guy, he's the good guy. He's definitely not the good guy, And when Arnold goes to save John Connor and John Connor's like, why are you listening to me? He's like, well, you program me from the future. It's so like mind fucky. It's really good. I guess my 2 cents on it is that people might underappreciate how good these scripts are because they've been out for so long, or maybe it feels played out. But honestly, like watching it now, especially seeing it, like watching a movie with Christine when she hasn't seen it, it's like, it's through fresh eyes. So like I'm sitting there thinking like, well, I know what's coming, but I'm also rewatching it, kind of experiencing it again for the first time. And it's kind of special because it's like, well, fuck, like she has no idea what's coming. She guesses a lot. She's pretty on point, but like, it subverts expectations and there's changes. And it's just, even in this one, like T2, she's like, how are they going to kill him? Like this guy's made out of liquid metal. How are they going to do it? Even when they're in the smelting factory, Stevie was just like, dude, I didn't remember how it ended. Like I kind of thought maybe they should push him into that like liquid, like, or the fucking, like magma, whatever fucking shit, smelted metal. And he's like, but that wasn't like, he's like, I didn't remember that's how they defeat him. And I'm like, yeah, it's just, even when it's obvious, like James Cameron has a great ability to make it so unobvious about how it's going to end. And I think that's, he's just a master of suspense and action and clearly science fiction, once again, a testament to his ability behind the camera. Also, the scale of T2 was huge. It's a movie that like, look, I could go watch it again right now and I'm going to be 100% engaged. Also the kid, Edward Furlong as John Connor, man, he was fucking fantastic. Like, and honestly, like I remember being a kid and watching that movie and being like, well, fuck, like you could see, anybody could probably see themselves in this kid. He's a little bit of a bad boy, but still like you kind of want to be that bad boy. And look, maybe for little girls, it's not the same, but for kids, you're like, yeah, like I want my own Terminator that'll save me, kick ass, beat up fucking whoever tries to fuck with me. This kid's riding motorcycles through the LA River canals. Like, it was such a fucking cool movie. Just a great movie. But yeah, Terminator 2, 10 out of 10, won some statues, definitely set the tone for the budget that Cameron would eventually get on Titanic, which we just talked about. It was a mega hit. And you know what's funny? One more note on Titanic. Titanic, during production, they were like, this movie's gonna be the worst fucking flop ever made, blah, 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 over budget, he kept adding months to the production. I'm sure is what James Cameron's thinking. Like, everyone doubted him, and this guy came out with like one of the best pictures ever made. So I don't know. He also did it because he loved it. He wasn't just trying to burn cash. He's like, I'm gonna make this thing as good as I fucking can. Even at that level, that scale, he's like, it's not about like I need another 10 or 20 mil. Yeah, we need to make this thing as good as it can be. So respect. Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, 2003 is a different director. I don't remember his name, but we watched it. Odd, this movie is not available anywhere. So we had to stream it online. But yeah, it was really good. Nick Stahl is the lead, and then Claire Danes is the other lead, and then Arnold's in it again. It's the last of Arnold's like OG appearances where he's actually like his character in the films. I think he comes back later in some of the other ones, but I'm not here to talk about that. I'm talking about the OG 3. And 3 is even questionable calling it OG, but I remember seeing 3 in theaters. I saw it at Century Theaters in Salinas when it opened up. I remember it was like the weekend it opened. They had the arcade free, and I was so into Terminator at the time because I felt like a bad boy. I was probably 10 when this movie came out, and I'd seen the first 2, or at least the second one at that point, and been like, fuck yeah, I gotta see 3. I'd fallen in love with it like everybody else had. And Oh man, it was good. It was actually a lot better than I remembered. I remember seeing it as a kid and being like, God, that was a lot different than the other one. And not being disappointed, but being like, wow, like it's just a 2000s movie. And like, look, 2000s, I think people thought like there's just like popcorn value to it. But like watching it now, I'm like, well, fuck, like that's what movies really should feel like. And Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines did that. It had that popcorn feel where you're just like, this is fucking just a enjoyable film to watch. It was fun, drama, action, incredible VFX. I don't know what was in the water in the 2000s, but shit just looked like photorealistic. Good antagonist, the lead, I don't know her name, but she was great. She plays like a female Terminatrix is what they're calling her in it. And she was good. It was just a very menacing antagonist, and she was fucking terrifying. You know, I think people underestimate too, like, you know, I don't know, I don't get legitimately scared, but when you're watching a movie and you're fully engaged, like some of these people are terrifying. Some of these other Terminators were terrifying in the films. Like if that person was coming for you, you'd be frightened. They're heartless. They kill, no mercy, especially not for a human. It's very interesting, you know. But anyways, I digress. Terminator 3 was good. A little bit more on the modern side, of course, but still classic. Like, you know, now I'm looking at this movie, it's like 22, 23 years old, which is hard to believe. But think about it. This 23-year-old film, it's I still refer to it now as like a more of a modern movie, but it really isn't. It wasn't even made that much longer after, maybe 12 years after fucking T2. So I don't know. James Cameron obviously not in it, but still a very, very, or not in it, but not directing, not behind the camera, but still a very, very fitting piece of the trilogy of films. Let's call it that. And I think James Cameron's circling back. I keep seeing him say like he's going to do a press conference saying he may not do 4 and 5 for Avatar. And it's like, look, buddy, nobody's going to hold a gun to your head to make 4 and 5. Like I think people are over it, to be quite frank. I didn't even see the latest one. Probably will, just because it's like kind of a holiday fucking movie. Go see Avatar, right? But no, I think if he didn't want to make them and he wanted to make something else, I saw he's making that like Japanese nuclear bomb movie based off some other IP. That's cool. Make that. But it's like, bro, if you want to get behind the camera and do another Terminator, everybody's saying please. No one's going to get mad. Or even if you want to do something else. I think JC's got plenty of good movies left in him. I think Avatar was like a 20-year ride of just fucking, you know, they're good. Number 1 is really good. Way of Water, I don't even have anything bad to say. I think it was a little too long on some of the whale scenes. Could have shaved like 40 minutes out of that movie of just the National Geographic shit. But number 3, like, I get it. I already know what it's going to be like, even if I go and see it. And like, even James Cameron, it seems like he's over it. He's saying if it does well financially, we'll stay in the game. But I'm like, bro, like, you don't need to lie to us. If you don't want to make 2 more fucking Avatar movies, I don't think anyone's going to be mad. I think people will be okay with it. 3 is plenty. That's my 2 cents. Anyways, had a good time watching those flicks. Honorable mention, I just watched Surviving Christmas with, who is it? Had Affleck, Gandolfini, Catherine O'Hara, and that kid from Sex Drive. Can't remember his name. And then Christina Applegate. She was really great. Movie was so fucking funny. I'd seen this movie one time before, and I think I watched it alone. And I was telling Christine and Stevie. Stevie threw it on casually. I'm like, yeah, it's good. It's good. I like all the actors in it. Love James Gandolfini. I mean, R.I.P. I think gone way too soon. But yeah, we were watching it. And it was just so fucking funny. We watched it. I watched it right before this pod. And God, it was so good. I was actually impressed with like how good and just chill. It was just such a movie, you know, and it hit all the right notes. Affleck was great. Affleck was very fearless when he was young. I know we were talking about this. Christine's like, God, he got so much more serious. I'm like, I think around like 2010 when he made like The Town, he started directing, his tone changed. And I was even like Googling, like, why did Ben Affleck change? And it was like, it just said he wanted to be taken serious. He felt like he had been so wanting to be liked. And then he wanted to go from being liked to actually being taken serious. And I'm like, that's exactly how it felt. Cause like The Town or even Gone Baby Gone, his directorial debut, those movies have a sense of like high integrity, seriousness, I guess. They're real movies, you know, in comparison. I mean, Surviving Christmas is a real movie. I just said it, but it's different. It's more, you know, comedic, playful Christmas. It's no holdovers in comparison if you're talking Christmas movies. But besides the point, yeah, like he was really great in it. And I call it young Ben, very, you know, charismatic and fun. It was really good. James Gandolfini, excellent. Catherine O'Hara, excellent. The son, whatever his name was, whatever. Christina Applegate, great. And, you know, the whole movie on a whole was just, it was funny, great movie. Another Christmas movie that I'll add it to my list when I'm like, oh, if I need a Christmas flick, that's when I'd watch again. Put you in the spirit. Just nice, easy ride. Christmas comedy, you can't really fuck it up. We watched Jingle All the Way as well. We were on a little bit of an Arnold streak, and Christine hadn't seen it since she said she hadn't seen it since she's been a kid. And I'm like, I get it, because I remember watching it heavy as a kid, and like, it's a Christmas classic favorite for me for sure. But I mean, yeah, that movie too. It's like it's a comedy. It's not meant to be like so deep, and not every movie is meant to be deep. But yeah, we noticed that transition between Affleck's career though, where he was going from, I guess, like more comedic and fun to more serious. And I still think he's very capable of being a funny guy, but it was just interesting to see that shift, seeing him in something, I guess, where he's a little younger. And it's even different than, I'd say, Good Will Hunting. He plays a comic relief to some extent in Good Will Hunting, but not quite as comical as this, because there's some serious moments in Good Will for him. But anyways, watched a lot of good movies, been indulging, eating some C's candy, trying to fucking get it all out before the end of the year and, tighten up January 1st like everybody else, right? New Year's resolution. But yeah, it's been good to be back in America. I've seen the world through new eyes, to say the least, after being back from Europe. I just noticed things that I never noticed before, and that's really cool. I definitely have the travel bug for 2026 as well. I really highly considering a little Tokyo trip. I've been looking into it. The airfare's not too bad, but I don't know, something. Priority number one though, because as much as I want to spend time on fucking airplanes traveling the world, I gotta do what I do best, and that's get behind the camera and make another movie. So the horizon, or the outlook rather, for fucking 2026 is get back to work, make another movie, focus on writing and directing, and possibly even hopping in front of the camera and some of these things, and just putting myself out there in ways I haven't. Even with the podcast, I never thought I'd do this, and now that I've done it for almost a year straight, we're coming up on 1 year. January 31st will be a year, and it's, I don't know, just keep pushing myself to new heights. And I think everybody else should do the same thing. Like, I think a big part of this podcast has been to inspire and make sure that people feel like they're not alone on the creative journey. And I don't think people feel as alone since I've been putting this out. Maybe that sounds pretentious. I don't think so. But even people in my immediate sphere, I've been, most of the time I talk to somebody about the pod, they connect with it positively, or they feel like there's some sort of intention behind it that's positive and good and supportive. And I'm trying to build community and just make other people, like I said, not feel so alone on their creative journey. And the creative journey isn't just film. The creative journey is whatever journey you're on, whatever path you're on, whatever you do, whatever your outlet is. I don't care if you cut hair or if you build fucking airplane engines. Anything is an art. And yeah, so looking into 2026, I'm excited. I can't wait to keep talking and keep connecting and keep, making movies, growing the pod, and just, living life. Let's see where the road takes us. Road to 100. I said this too on one little final note. I want to see what 100 podcasts could do. I will never stop podcasting, and at least not until 100. If I get to 100, I'm like, all right, no one's fucking listening, maybe. But I don't think it's going to be like that. I think it's going to be grand. It's going to keep growing, keep getting there. But yeah, a minimum of 100 was kind of my goal. And like right now, I feel like I've just really, the podcast has taken form. This is kind of me reflecting on the year of 2025, not quite year to date, but we're getting there, like I said. And yeah, I hope the podcast continues to inspire and continues to just be, a comforting voice amongst the noise of life. That sounds nice. And that also sounds like a great place to end. All right, guys, I'm Devin Thomas, and this is another episode of Unscripted. I'll talk to you all next week.